The last bit of this is going to be about developing NFTs from the NFT guide for beginners. And it's just going to really cover at a high level the programming languages that are involved, the kind of things you might need to know, the kind of things you might come across, and what it takes to build out NFTs, smart contracts, minting applications, and stuff like that. So when you get down to it, C is the basic programming language. It is what the internet is built off of. It is pretty much what most programs for software kind of rely on, but it's object-oriented programming is what you really need to keep in mind, right? When you think about blockchain and when you think about the development, Solidity and Rust are the languages that smart contracts are being written in and how the core technologies are being developed. And for the most part, they're built heavily off of the principles of like C. So if you're an old school developer and you know these languages, there's a market for you, and there's a high demand. And then when you really kind of round it around and you get to the front end of things, traditional front end developers, JavaScript, HTML, CSS, that's key because, it's not that this technology is new, it's evolving. So there's old technologies that we can build off of and that we're using to kind of start getting into this. So when you think about like writing a contract, right? Writing a smart contract for an NFT is not a very challenging thing. There's a ton of tutorials on the internet. You can piece them together. There's already a bunch of different standards in place for the most part. It'd be fantastic if there was a no-code solution to make it easy to build collections and stuff. But in general, if you know your way around the computer, for the most part, you can kind of figure it out because you just import different dependencies and make edits to those dependencies in regards to your NFT or your NFT collection. If you want to become, more complex, that's when you really need to know these languages and how to work with them in order to build in the different functions and functionalities. From there, one of the types of smart contracts and something you've probably seen before is a minting application. You go to a website, you get on that whitelist, you're able to jump into the markets before the primaries hit, and you get them, a bunch of NFTs at a steal, right? Well, those are minting applications, and that's basically, a smart contract tied to a call to action, which triggers a mechanism and releases the NFT. And that's done through things like Solidity, Rust, JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. So it's really important that people know this because as this is evolving, we definitely want to be as semantic as possible too. So all you Web3ers, HTML semantics and transcending CSS, those are probably key things to know. But what I'm getting at is, to develop these things, to write these things, there's a high barrier to entry, but there's a lot of resources available. Blech. And I say high barrier to entry because it's just technical knowledge. You need to know stuff, but that's truthfully it. That's the core. Solidity is what these Ethereum contracts are being written in. If you want to dive into making your own smart contracts for NFTs, you can work with Solidity contracts and you can import the different dependencies. You can use IDEs like Remix. You can pull stuff down to your local machine. If you're feeling saucy and you want to go beyond that and you have development skill sets, you can start building decentralized applications. In order to do so, back-end programming and front-end programming is going to be necessary, and things like C, JavaScript, HTML, and CSS are crucial. So if you enjoy this content, thank you, I appreciate it. Be sure to like, subscribe, and follow, and we'll jump into the final little bits.